Right, the LogCat. You hear it everywhere. If you have any errors, you go to the LogCat. Well, what is the LogCat? Simply put, the LogCat is a tool, and it contains all the Java stack traces for everything going on in your device, and you can specify it to a specific process. It sounds complicated, but it's actually very simple. Just think of the LogCat as an inside friend that can tell you everything going on with your application. If your app crashes, the LogCat will say, hey, you know, the crash happened at this line right here. Let's go check it out. In fact, this is why it crashed. That's simply put, right? It does it in the form of what's called a Java stack trace. So we just made a simple little application right here. One layout, one Java file. The layout is very simple, a text view, 2 buttons. The Java file, very simple. Declaring, initializing all the views. I have a string message variable set up to click listeners for the buttons. The first button is clicked and it calls method 1. The second button is clicked and it calls method 2. Inside of the method 1, we change the value of the message variable and set it to the text view. And in method 2, we just pull up a toast that says here is the message, and we display the message in the toast. Very simple. That's what we'll start out with to kind of learn about the LogCat. So this video considers that you can build a basic application and you are using Android Studio. The concept is the same everywhere though. The Java stack traces are everywhere. So we'll just take a look at it here in Android Studio. So down here at the bottom, you'll see the LogCat button, and you just hit it, and it pulls up this right here. And as you can see, there's just a lot of stuff in this window, and most of it is going to be background noise. You won't need to know all of it or need to look into all of it. In fact, we're just specifically on this process right here, so that's why it's not having anything going on right now. But if this was on the entire phone and no specific process, it would just be continuously filling up with data, because your phone, the background services, everything is just it just logs data all the time. So right here you can see this is your device, or if you're running an emulator, you'll see it here. Right here is the process. We have the LogCat tutorial as the process. This is the level of the LogCat information you want. So verbose being the least threatening, assert being the most threatening. So for simple things like, you see this right here, the view root touch event. This is me putting my finger on the device and scrolling down. This is me putting my finger on the device and scrolling up. It's in verbose, but you see it'll disappear in assert, because assert is pretty severe. In fact, warning, it's not even in warning. In info, it will be. So as you can see, it just makes a trace of everything that you do, which is good, because if your app starts to crash, you can really zero in on the last couple of events that happened before the crash, and you can go see and investigate and try out some different stuff. And so we're going to look at that real quick. So I'm just going to launch this app. And as you can see, I put my finger on the screen a couple times. I scroll left, I scroll right, up and down, all of it. And you can see it's all in the info, right? That's cool. I'm going to change the text view. I'm going to hit the generate logs, although we're not generating the logs yet. It's just showing a toast right now, but we'll get to generating logs. But as you can see, this stuff right here is just all, it just makes a stack trace of everything. It's called the Java stack trace. Okay, so now let's make our application crash. So in method 1, we set the text to this text view. Let's go up here and take away the initialization of the text view, and then we're going to run the app. Let me go ahead and pull up the error, because it's going to crash on us. It won't crash at first because we're not doing anything to the text view until we hit that button. So I'm going to go ahead and hit change text, and it's going to crash the app. See how that happens? And this LogCat starts to fill up with data. Let's go to it. So from the bottom up, we're going to trace it, and you can see it's got a stack trace of everything, the Java stack trace, and then we get to our package right here. This is our package, and then this is our class, and then so it takes you directly to the exact line. As you can see, Java line 29. We clicked our first button, and that took us to method 1. So this is method 1, which makes sense. That's why you see these hyperlinks right here as they go up. They take you to exactly where the crash happened at. So line 43 is where this crash happened at. So if we look right here, the tv.setText. So attempt to invoke virtual method void set text on a null object reference. So we tried to use the set text on a null object reference, and the reason this text view is null is because we did not initialize it. I mean, it's there, it's declared, but it's not initialized. So that will throw the error. And so, as you can see, it provides you footprints to get to where your app crashed. Okay. Now that is a simple view of it. I have another one of my projects pulled up, and we are going to look at a little bit more of a complicated stack trace. We're going to make it crash, and we're going to trace it down. So this one, don't worry about following along with the code on this. I just want you to see how I'm changing the main activity, line 88, right here. I'm going to take away that underscore from the name, and I'm going to run this app. I'm going to pause the video while that Gradle build's running, just in case it takes a while. Here we go, here we go. It's loading. So I'm going to add name Josh. He's 22. We're going to add him. Larry. That fool is 100. We're going to add this fool. We're going to hit show selected, and it's going to crash. Great. So it crashed. What do I do? First step, let's go check out our inside buddy, the LogCat, and let's see what he has recorded. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff going on my laptop. Okay, so we have the error pulled up. As you can see, our device, our process, tutorial SQL. That's what we got right here. Okay, and we are in the error. So the stack trace right here, go to these hyperlinks. I usually like to just scroll till I see the blue right here. And it says show selected. So remember, we changed it at line 88, right? Bam, it took me right to it, which is good. But let's see what message it gave us up here at the top. No such column name while compiling. So let's look at this SQLite query. While compiling, select name from tutorial table. So what? Let's go to our helper. Yeah, it makes sense because our name has an underscore in front of it. So that's kind of how you trace down the errors. So don't worry about following all the code in this, but just notice how whenever I went here and I made a simple change, it took me right to the line that I made the change on. So that's pretty awesome. Okay, so what we're going to look at now is how can we put information in there? Okay, so we know that if our app crashes, the LogCat provides us a stack trace of how to find the line that has given us the crash, and it's going to give us some information of what happened on that line. But how can we put information in here if we ever need to? Okay, so that's what we're going to do in our button 2 right here. We're going to take away this toast. Right. Here is the format for it. The log class, the static method I, stands for log.info. So that means whenever we run it, anything that we put in there will appear in this info block. But there's going to be so much going on in that info block. How do we separate it? Well, if we look right here, Control P for the parameters, we see string tag and string message. So we're going to give it a string tag. So I'm just going to use my name, Josh, and then comma. I'm going to put message 1. Okay? I'm just going to copy this a few times. And I'm going to put message 2. I'm going to put message 3. Make sure my text view, we reinitialize it. Okay, so I'm going to rerun this program now. Alright, so 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I had to disable some notifications real quick just to continue on the video. I'm going to rerun the app, and basically what we just have done is in button 2, we're calling method 2. In method 2, we're going to log some information. So I'm going to hit generate logs, and as you can see right here, there it is. The tag Josh, the message 1. So how cool is that? So this is how you can get information in there. And the reason I use my name is, you know, all of this stuff, a lot of it won't pertain to you. So if you ever need to just specifically zero in on something, you can put it in your search criteria. So if I just put in my name, bam, now I have all of the logs that I have put in there. So let's see how this can be useful. I'm going to take away this right here, and I'm going to put Josh message, and then I'm going to take away this string right there, and I'm going to actually put message, our message variable in here, because what I'm going to do is initialize it with the first message, hello old world, and then when I click the first button, it's going to take me to method 1, which is going to change the value of the message. So I'm going to actually click button 2 first, then button 1, and then button 2 again. So it should have me 2 separate logs of Josh message, and it's going to have the message variable in it, but it's going to message variable is going to show 2 different values. Let's watch how that works. Hopefully it works perfect. This new Android Studio has been acting a little glitchy. Okay, so I'm going to hit generate logs. Hello, old world. This is the first message. Okay, now I'm going to hit change text. Programmatically change the to message hello new world, and I'm going to hit generate logs again. And now message has a different value. So you see how that works? And watch this. If I take away Josh, you see how much stuff is in here? So that's just kind of how you can zero in on stuff. There's a lot of different methods in the log class, a lot of static methods, log.i, log.d, all that type of stuff. But what we must remember is, to begin with, if your app crashes, go to the error and assert and see the Java stack trace, and it'll take you right through the line that it crashed on, and then you can start investigating why. And you can go to Google and research, because a lot of the times whenever you realize what's happened, you can Google it and you can find out, and you'll solve it on your own, and that'll make for coding. It'll progress your coding and developing, and then whenever you start to do data, like big data movements and stuff like that, you'll want to sprinkle some log information inside of your app as you start to build it. So that way, whenever something goes wrong, you can look at your logs and see, oh, okay, I had no internet connection at this point. That's why the ad didn't load. Or, just there's lots of different ways that the log will help you. So that's it. The LogCat is like your inside buddy when it comes to troubleshooting and building your app pretty much.